A very good evening to you, Edmond Mudibo. We're coming to you live from State House in Mombasa County. And in just a few hours to go as we usher in 2023, the head of state, President William Samoei Ruto, is expected to address the nation right from here in Mombasa County. And so much are in expectations, or so much is in the basket of expectations of Kenyans on what the president will tell Kenyans as we head to 2023. 2022 has been a year with a lot to carry on for Kenyans. Talk of economic issues, talk of so many things which have been happening to Kenyans. But I'm hereby joined by a legislature from Matuga, that is Mr. Tandaza, just to bring us up to speed. What has been happening all this year in terms of legislations and going forward, what have to expect. Mheshimiwa, karibu sana, and bring us up to speed. 2022 has been a year of so much hurdles, and as the legislatures, what are you telling Kenyans as we head to 2023 vis-a-vis the 2022 as it has been?
Thank you. As a politician and as a leader, we have to agree as Kenyans that 2022 had its own challenges. But to cap it all, for the first time within the advent of multipartyism, we had an election whereby the Kenyan voted. His or her vote was counted, announced, people went home. Of course, for the presidential vote, there was a petition. It went to the Supreme Court, a verdict was given, and still Kenyans listened and maintained the peace. To me, that caps 2022, that for the first time we can hold a general election and people can be peaceful. Remember, without peace, there is nothing else we can do. We cannot talk about development, we can talk about economic, we cannot talk about anything if there is no peace. So for 2022, peace was the epitome of everything. We had challenges in 2022 for sure, as we usher in 2023, a few hours to come, especially on the economic front. It was quite difficult for Kenyans. I, as a member of parliament, have witnessed parents in tears not able to take their kids to school. Remember, this was a year which had also taken a beating from the COVID-19. But even without COVID, to be really realistic, life had been difficult for Kenyans. People were losing jobs, investors were not coming in, companies were closing. So it was very difficult. But in the Kenya Kwanza government that we had from the general election and the plan that we have as Kenya Kwanza government, I can assure Kenyans that we should look up to 2023 with some hope. Certainly things are going to improve. We will certainly, His Excellency Dr. Samoei Ruto's government, he himself has taken it upon himself to say that the cost of living shall come down. And it doesn't need magic. All what you need to do is to go to the basics. If it's food, grow food. Will never bring down the cost of living by importation. That is the reality. And on the other front, which is also saying that we are looking at 2023 with a lot of hope, especially from coast now. As a leader from coast, remember, 2022 and 2021, we had this monster of KPA, where the operations had been taken to Naivasha. For sure, that was actually rubbing salt to the wound. When everybody is suffering, people were made to lose jobs by the government that they should have been hoping to help them. But by the stroke of the pen with his executive order on the first day of his swearing in, he said the port operations should come back to Mombasa. And for sure, we are expecting a lot of economic activities. It might not pick as fast as we would have wanted, but it gives us a lot of hope. Again, when he was here, 4 weeks ago, he made a commitment on the southern bypass, the Dongokundu, popularly known as Dongokundu, and the special economic zone. To me, this is a game changer for the coastal people, especially for me as a member of parliament in Matuga, which actually takes a good part of the southern bypass, and for sure will be the first beneficiary of the southern bypass and the special economic zone in terms of job creation. So, for me, 2023 is a year of hope. Certainly, the cost of living must come down, and I can see the government has laid plans on that. Job creation has also been given a priority in terms of the economic activities, not only in cost but in the other areas. If you go to the plan of Kenya Kwanza government, there is a whole bit about water in terms of irrigation, and that goes to food production, which is a priority for any country. You cannot do anything when your stomach is empty. So I'm really waiting anxiously for the turn of this year, and I urge every Kenyan not to lose hope. But above all, let's maintain peace, not only during the general election, but even in our day-to-day lives. These small gangs of youths, I would understand also that probably it's because they are jobless, they have nothing to do, but going to the extent of now turning yourself into a criminal gang, to me is a zero-sum game. So let's maintain peace. Leaders are there, the government is there, our Excellency, the President is there to make sure that we live better than never before.
And Mheshimiwa, just to ask something, in your leadership in the 2 times you've been in Parliament, you have been leading from the front in matters of education. Yes. And taking into account the year 2022, there's been so much on the shoulders of parents in terms of fees. Remember, also had a crash program owing to or attributed to COVID-19. Now, going forward, in terms of school fees, you as the legislators in the August House, what are you planning to ensure that as parents may have a leeway as you go to 2023 in terms of school fees?
Well, as a member of parliament, we have our kitty of the National Government Constituency Development Fund, which goes a long way in alleviating the problem of school fees. As I speak here, as I sit here, as I stand here, I'm actually the vice chairman of the Committee on Matters NGCDF. As I stand here, funds were released yesterday, 7 million for every constituency, just to jumpstart the whole issue of bursaries as these schools open, which is a good thing. It would have been a tragedy if for some reason or another, funds will not have been released. But as I speak, all the 290 constituencies have at least 7 million in their accounts for the sole purpose of trying to see how they can give bursaries. Remember, when it comes to the kit, there is a maximum ceiling, which is 35%. That could translate at most 40 million. But it is a prerogative of every member of parliament to see how much he can allocate. For Matuga, I always allocate the maximum that is allowable because of the need, because of how my parents are. Most of them are jobless. They don't have any serious economic activity. But for now, as we stand as members of parliament, we have done our bit to make sure that bursaries are available. Of course, we also realize that there are other institutions which also come in. I've seen KCB, I've seen Equity. For cost, we also have our company-based Teniam and others who come in. But for sure, I also urge our parents to take education seriously, especially for us in cost. I want to be very candid on this matter. Our parents from cost, as I stand here, are yet to embrace education fully. But us as leaders, I would ask us to network with the parents, we cooperate so that we make sure. I said this in Matuga today when I was going around the constituents, meeting the constituents in matters of how we can usher in the new year. And I was telling them, I will not allow any student from my constituency not to go to school, especially if it is lack of fees. I'm willing to go all the way, including my own resources personally, but I would want also the parents to take their bit so that we collaborate and build better generation in terms of our young people.
Okay, thank you so much, Mheshimiwa. Of course, that is Mr. Tandaza Sawa, a member of parliament from Matuga, who represents Matuga constituency in the August House. Remember, our viewers, where we are at State House in Mombasa, and right behind me is entertainment time as we wait for the head of state to address the nation in just a few hours as we usher in the year 2023. There's been so much in this year 2022. As Mheshimiwa has alluded so much on economic issues, issues to do with education, so much which was happening to Kenyans. Most of them were losing hope, but going forward, he's just asking Kenyans just to hold on and have hope. The government is committed to ensure that the standards of living are well taken care of, and Kenyans are going for 2023, they have the best they can. Edmond?